Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody, are you, before I start the talk, are you all keen to do a short meditation? All right. Shall we do that? And shall I guide you all in metta meditation? How about that? Okay, let's do a short one. Let's just put the timing. Anytime we've got, we really have to, all right. Okay. All right. If you're all ready, can you all just close your eyes? Please close your eyes, and because it's the early afternoon, and I think it's important that we wake ourselves out by just rolling our shoulders to the back 3 times. And then roll your shoulders to the front 3 times. And then I would like you to take breathe in, hold your breath, take your shoulders up to your ears, open up your chest, and breathe out. Breathe in again, breathe in. Shoulders up to your ears, open up your chest, and breathe out. Again, breathe in. Shoulders up to the ears, hold your breath, and then relax, breathe out. I would like you to check your body right now to make sure that you are really very relaxed, right? The body affects the mind. So I want you to go every part of your body. All right, do a scan. Make sure you're very relaxed. Are you tensing up between your eyes? Double check. Your shoulders. A lot of people have a lot of tension at the shoulders. Right? Let go of all the tension accumulated in the past week. We check everything. Do a scan down your spine. Okay. Are you aware of this body? Are you aware that this body is relaxed? Do not underestimate what you're doing. Mind quiet, body relaxed, the body breathe on its own. The only thoughts that you produce are those of relaxation and nothing else. So you anchor your mind on this body being a very big meditation object. And the only thing you're doing right now is relaxation. Mind quiet. Mind quiet. Just relaxed. Important that you do this exercise every time before you start your formal meditation. Mind quiet, body relaxed, and the body breathed on its own. Now, let's check to see whether you are really relaxed and your mind relatively quiet. Okay. Okay. Can you feel your heartbeat? If you can, please use the pulsation as a meditation object to anchor your mind to the present moment. I'd rather you use your heartbeat than your breath straight away because you can't control how hard your heart beats. If you are relaxed, it should be beating at its own rhythm. And if you can't, it doesn't matter. Continue to feel. Feel for the pulse. When you do that, you know that your mind is at present moment. Or attention at the rise and the fall of your chest. Mind quiet. Let's check to see whether the lower part of your body is relaxed. All right? Can you feel the pulsation at your dantian, at your navel? Can you feel the pulsation there? If you can't, use the rise and the fall of your belly to anchor your mind to the present moment. Let's also check to see whether you can feel the pulsation at the palm of your two hands. You cannot feel a body that's in the past or in the future. As long as your mind is with the body, you know that you are at present moment. Remember the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, right? The Buddha started with mindfulness of the body. Mindfulness is the body, is the gateway to deeper meditation. Now check to see whether you can feel the pulsation at the sole of your 2 feet. Okay, now that your body is relatively relaxed, right? I would like you to place your mind to think about a person that you love very much, who can bring out a lot of metta in you, a lot of goodwill. It can even be a pet, your favorite pet, or you can reflect on a situation or an event which brings forth a lot of metta and compassion. You have that feeling in you right now? I would like you to think of the people in your household, people you are residing with now. Just think about them in your mind. May you all be well and happy. May you all take care of yourself happily. May you be free from danger and disease. May you be free from greed, hatred, and delusion. And may you find peace and joy. Next, I would like you to think about all your relatives related to you by blood in your mind and extend the goodwill and kindness you have in your heart to them. May you be well and happy. May you take care of yourself happily. May you be free from danger and disease. May you all find peace and joy. Next, I would like you to think about the people you work with in your office, your colleagues. If you're a homemaker, you don't work, think about people that you do come across in your volunteer work. Okay? You all can extend this, think of all of these people. Right? In this spiritual cultivation group, your colleagues, your friends, think about them. May you all be well and happy. May you all take care of yourself happily. May you be free from danger and disease. May you find peace and joy. Next, I would like you to think about the people in your neighborhood. It can be a market lady, people you usually meet generally in your life when you step out the house, your neighbors, the security guard. Think about them. May you be well and happy. May you take care of yourself happily. May you be free from danger and disease. May you find peace and joy. Next, I would like you to think about people who have hurt you, people you dislike, people you disrespect. Now, this may be a bit more challenging, but you know when you have a mind of metta, it's a mind with no judgment. All right? When you don't judge someone, you have goodwill towards someone, you're protecting your mind against that someone. You find it easier not to give value to what the other people have done. You just accept situations as they are. Is the best protection for your mind. So I want you now to think about these people. May you be well and happy. May you be free from danger and disease. May you be free, all right, from greed, hatred, and delusion. May you find peace and joy. Now, I would like you to divert your attention to yourself. Accept yourself for what you are. You're not blinded. by folly. You know your own shortcomings, but you understand that this is who you are. You can't change your looks. You're grateful for this life. You're grateful for the situations that life gives you, right? Have the goodwill for yourself. Love yourself. May I be well and happy. May I take care of myself happily. May I be free from danger and disease. May I be free from greed, hatred, and delusion. May I find peace and joy. May I be well and happy. May I be well and happy. May I be well and happy. And may I find the blissful state of Nibbana in this lifetime. A while longer, have contentment. You're practicing the Noble Eightfold Path right now, accumulating good merits for yourself, going nowhere, being nobody. Mind quiet, body relax, the body breathes on its own. Gently prepare to finish your meditation. You may open up your eyes when you're ready. Okay, all right. Thanks to those who have switched on their video because I'm able to see you and just guide along. Um, that was close to 20 minutes. It's just 30 more seconds to 20 minutes or thereabouts. Okay. Um, well, you see, when your mind is very quiet and your mind is at present moment, time passes very fast. When your mind is have thoughts, when thoughts of the future, impatience arises. Thoughts of the past, you may have a bit of tension. So well done. Okay. So are we ready for our talk? Unless you all have questions on meditation. Do you have any questions? Boa, okay lah. Then we do a talk. Now I wanted to talk about idle chatter because a lot of people do not understand why idle chatter is not good. I mean, chit chat is okay, isn't it? That's all everybody say. Let's chit chat. There's nothing wrong with chit chatting. But I'll explain to you why. Okay, it's very important, this topic. Okay, I'm going to do my share screen here. I host this disabled participant screen sharing. Okay. Now, I can't go in because you have disabled Chopin.
Okay,
My
I'll
screen
make you
sharing.
a host.
Okay. Now, everybody, you can switch off your videos. All right. I would like you to minimize the gallery. So attention on the slides. Huh? You have a full screen of the slides.
Okay, I think you should be able to share screen.
Okay. Thank you. Oh. Okay. I'm going to minimize my gallery now so I don't see myself. Okay. Y'all can hear me well. Yes.
Yes.
All right. We all know about right speech, isn't it? The Buddha says we need to exercise right speech. Very important. And you know that under Buddhism, we need to do three things. We avoid evil, we do good, and then we purify the mind. Okay, so when we're meditating, we are purifying the mind. But the basic thing we need to do is avoid evil. Before you even think about doing good. If you can't avoid evil, it's a bit tough to do good. Avoid evil for speech is you avoid these four, correct? And today, everybody knows why false, divisive, and harsh speech. Today, I'm going to touch on idle chatter. First, we need to understand what is the definition of idle chatter. Okay, we always start with that. He indulges in idle chatter. He speaks at an improper time, speaks falsely, speaks what is not beneficial, speaks contrary to the Dhamma and the discipline. At an improper time, he speaks such words as are worthless, unreasonable, rambling, and unbeneficial. So if you speak an improper time, it's idle chatter, right? For example, at a meditation retreat when you have to observe noble silence, at a library, in a concert, and any other events where silence is required. Isn't it when someone is giving a talk, you don't chat below? That's idle chatter. Okay. Idle chatter is also being very unmindful of whether what you say is whether it's truthful or not truthful. Also, speech that is not beneficial. That means it doesn't help, support, or increase your own well-being and also of others, and does not maintain harmony within a group. That's idle chatter. And speech contrary to the Dhamma and discipline means one that's not aligned with the goal of Nibbana and does not help in our spiritual progress. Worthless means no use, no practical value. Unreasonable means not based on reason, illogical. Rambling means it's lengthy, very digressive, and unbeneficial is the same as not beneficial. And no matter when it is spoken, in proper time or otherwise, it is still idle chatter when it's not beneficial. So in other words, you cannot improve the silence, then don't talk. Okay. Now, if you look at the Pali word, it says here, sampa palapa. It reminds you of sanpa, right? The word sanpa. So it's very easy to remember the Pali word. Sanpa is used as a derogatory term to describe women who gossip and interfere in other people's business. But let me just put the definition in another way so you can remember very, very carefully. Types of unskillful speech. We have these four, right? All of you know this, huh? Idle chatter is speech that is spoken at an improper time. All right? It is false. It is not beneficial. And this covers what? Both divisive and harsh speech, isn't it? So idle chatter is also speech that is meaningless, lacks purpose, value, and substance. And it only serves to stir up the defilements in our mind and in others. So in a nutshell, idle chatter and all other forms of unskillful speech are contrary to the Dhamma and the discipline and brings us away from Nibbana. Okay, brothers and sisters, you may probably say, Sister Siew Fong, this chart tells us what we should not talk about, which is a lot. Okay, you want to compare to what the Sangha shouldn't talk about? Now, in the case of Sangha, this is in the Vinaya. these topics of conversation are discouraged. Armies, perils, and wars. Food, drink, garments, and beds. Garlands and scents. Relatives, vehicles, villages, towns, cities, and countries. Women and heroes. Street talk by the well. The departed. Miscellaneous talk. Speculation about the world and the sea. Becoming these or that. So for the Sangha, the monks, their words have to be very selective and concerned primarily with the Dharma and the discipline. Okay, I understand, all right? What applies to monks, right, should not apply to lay people like us, realistically, isn't it? Because in our mundane lives, we bond over small talk with family, with relatives and friends. We have to exchange polite words with our neighbors and our colleagues. And during social functions, you have to interact with others. So noble silence is really not an option. So where do we draw the line? We will explore this later. Huh? This is an example of idle chatter. And what you see here, everybody know this. This is called gossip, isn't it? So where does it feature in idle chatter? At its very best, gossip means exchanging harmless information about another person's lives. At its very worst, it involves malicious rumors that cannot be confirmed as true and are usually false. Gossip is therefore a speech that is inclined towards falsehood. And if the information harms the reputation of someone you know or will possibly meet, it is considered what? Divisive, right? So a lot of gossip is slanderous. That means untrue and harmful to someone's reputation. In short, gossip is the most unskillful form of idle chatter. Next, I'm going to go under and examine what is the motivation. What are the motivations behind idle chatter? Of the 4 forms of unskillful speech, idle chatter is actually the most difficult to abstain because it means having to abstain from divisive speech and harsh speech. Okay, it is hardship times 4 times. Essentially means we have to exercise restraint in all forms of unskillful speech. In that case, how is it that people still persist in viewing idle chatter as a harmless pastime? Firstly, everyone engages in idle chatter, so how can it be wrong? Number 2, our connections and our conversations with other people, right, make us feel closer to them. And this is one of the channels through which we find meaning and fulfillment in our relationships with other people. Also, we tend to build stronger social bond with someone if we share something negative about a common enemy, or we share something negative about another person instead of something positive, because this air of confidentiality. It's like us against them kind of attitude, right? And also number 3, we feel very compelled, isn't it, to fill up the empty spaces? And this usually happens when we don't know the other person as well. Or we resist recognizing the unskillful nature of idle chatter. In particular, gossip simply because we are addicted to it. And 5, this is probably the main reason why we gossip. So when you go to the lift, right, you will sometimes listen to people's conversations. You notice it's usually about complaints. Oh, why like that? You know that I wouldn't do this. You know that person. That kind of things. It's about complaints, but it's usually to make ourselves feel that we are so much better. I give you this example. Drop in. You can read the next slide. Can you read this?
Okay, I know them quite well. The wife spends money like water, and it's not like they're very rich, you know. I know that's why her husband hit her. She must be bankrupting him.
Yeah. So in a way, indirectly, you're showing that you're better, isn't it? Okay. Now, continue. Drop in.
Okay, gossip means telling stories about analyzing, enjoying, being perceptive with another at someone else's expense in his or her absence.
Okay. So people who gossip pride themselves in having very keen insight and judgment of other people. Correct? So we dissect the topic of discussion in different ways and analyze it from different angles. So a juicy piece of gossip can occupy chat times for hours. And the more sensational the topic, the longer the discussion. Because instead of using a mirror for self-reflection, as the Buddha advised us to do, we are using a magnifying glass to examine other people's faults. As we have learned, right? Okay, I think you guys have not gone for Dharma Bites on Divisive, but never mind. We tend to ignore our own faults, and we do our best not to identify with our own faults by gossiping about other people. No one is interested in talking about the virtues of others, because this usually means that the other person is more important or better than we are. Our ego cannot take it, brothers and sisters. That is why celebrity bloggers and gossip magazines make millions of dollars reporting scandalous news of famous people. You will never see the newspaper talking about how long this person meditated, how much money this person has donated anonymously, right? Because of these 5 main reasons, idle chatter and specifically gossip has attracted both women and men, young and old, across race and culture. And gossip has remained one of the favorite pastimes since time immemorial. Gossiping arises from what kind of mind? A fault-finding mind. Now, we find fault because we prefer not to see our own, which means we are rejecting something, correct? Rejecting something. Isn't that craving for non-being? Now, this is a second noble truth, cause of suffering. And we find fault because we want to feel that we are better or more important than others. Both aspects of craving or tanha. Okay, how to progress spiritually? Ultimately, because of ignorance and craving based on a sense of self, our mind is always vulnerable to lobha, dosa, and moha, and all the negativities that come with it. Okay. Now, ignorance and craving here means, I think you all know this already, but are obstacles to enlightenment, to purity of the mind, and represented by the 3 defilements. Delusion here means that you have this ego and you haven't seen the 4 noble truths yet. You haven't realized the 4 noble truths. Okay, next is this. Why? Why we should reduce idle chatter. The idle chatter we conduct in the outside world is usually proportionate to the mental chit-chat in our heads all the time. They feed each other, correct? So what we think comes out in speech. So the more occupied we are internally, the more restless our mind. And the more we need to ventilate our thoughts with other people. And the more we do that, the noisier the mind. Of the tens and thousands of thoughts we have a day, about 95% are exactly the same as the day before. You watch what you think. You wake up in the morning. And so if your speech reflects your thoughts, you are likely saying the same thing over and over again. That means that our idle chatter is really idle most of the time. No meaningful content, no real benefit to ourselves and others. Not only is this very unfulfilling, but also a burden to our mind and our practice. And about 80% of our thoughts are negative. which is the source of our unskillful speech. And this is research. I mean, if you have been watching your mind for a while, meditating for a while, this percentage may go down. But how many people wake up in the morning and say, I love being born in Singapore. I love the weather. The weather is so sunny. I appreciate this. I come out the room. I appreciate everybody in the house. You know, I appreciate what food is placed before me, even though it's simple. Minds don't, uncultivated minds do not work that way. We may start out by talking about something harmless like the weather, the sports, the movies, but we have to bear in mind that because of our predominantly negative thoughts, idle chatter makes it easier to indulge in unskillful speech like gossip. Gossip, as it turns out, can influence something as fundamental as visual processing. In an experiment, neutral faces were paired with neutral gossip. All right, neutral faces paired with the 3 aspects of speech here, and were then presented alone in a binocular rivalry peridium. So it means faces were presented to one eye and houses on the other. Now, the results show that faces that had been paired with negative gossip dominated far longer than any stimulators that is neutral or positive. So couples, for example, only remember the negative aspect of their partner or spouse, right? All right, I've seen clients who complain to me that, oh, my husband never do this, never do that, never, never. They don't remember the positive. All right, usually complaints. So you just forget one birthday for 1 year, that will feature in the mind for like 20 years time. But you cannot remember the 19 other years that your partner remembers your birthday. Okay, this is an example. So some people may say, hey, Sister Siew Fong, not a bad thing, isn't it? Because this is called positive social effective learning. Because this dominant visual print makes us learn more about the person. And in do so, we are able to deal with the consequences involved. That means we know what's a bad thing about the person. And also better able to identify similar bad behavior and events like lying or stealing or cheating in the future. Okay, fine. Yeah. But first and foremost, that's a very unwholesome mental state, a complaining mind. And second, what if we make a mistake? We find out that our gossip about this person is based on wrong information or intentional falsehood from another. A person's reputation is very fragile. So when you gossip, you may be helping to destroy something extremely valuable. And negative gossip cannot simply be rectified by saying something good after that. Because the experiment already shows that positive information does not carry the same weight. Making up for such unskillful speech is therefore a lot more difficult than you think. Like, for example, a couple of years ago, one of my associates told me that they're in a courtroom, they were talking about this lawyer who cheated on his wife and had an affair with a colleague. All right. So, but you'll be surprised, after so many years, when I met that lawyer, I say, oh, I wonder whether he really did. Okay, but I hope not. That's how the mind is. So very, very careful what we say. Once there was a man who gave no thought to what he said. No filter, no restraint. So very often he would say things that harm others, causing pain and displeasure. Many of his comments turned into malicious rumors. He lost a lot of friends. So distraught, he went to a local sage and asked why it was that so many shunned him. The sage handed him a pillow and said this, 卓斌,
Take this pillow. I want you to find the highest hill, and when you're there, rip open the case and shake out all the feathers. Tomorrow, I want you to come back for your next lesson.
Okay, so he went up to the hilltop. He tore the pillowcase apart and shook out all the feathers. He watched the wind scatter them in every direction. So the next morning, he returned to the sage. All right. He said he had acted as he had been instructed. The sage then gave him another set of instructions. Jobin?
Good. Now I want you to go back up to the hill with this empty case and fill it with the same feathers. That's impossible. They have been thrown everywhere.
Exactly. Continue.
And your speech is like the feathers scattered on the wind. Once your words have left your lips, they too cannot be gathered again. From now on, be careful of what you say.
So this story must actually remind you of the Chinese proverb, isn't it? All of you, I think, will know this. 一言既出呢，驷马难追, right? Which means what is said cannot be unsaid. Even a team of horses cannot chase down and bring back your words. So Bhikkhu Bodhi advised that we should make a commitment to watch ourselves for one whole day and try to notice all our verbal interactions with other people. You pay attention to the content of our conversations, to the tone of our voice, the extent, the context, which means the facts and circumstances of situation, the content, the context also, and also to see how much we really listen. Why? Okay, now here, and let me read through. Pay attention to what is really being communicated and what isn't. How much of your speech is truly meaningful? This one you have to practice mindfulness. Now, Joseph Goldstein, the co-founder of Insight Meditation Society with Jack Confield, went one step further. Okay, let's see what he did. Chobing?
For several months, I decided not to speak about any third person. Not speak about anyone to someone else. In other words, no gossip, even of a harmless kind. Surprisingly, a very large percentage of my speech was eliminated. This experiment had a significant impact on my mind. I noticed that much of my speech was some kind of comment or judgment about others. By completely stopping such speech for a while, my mind became less critical, not only of others, but also of myself.
Okay, self-explanatory. And lastly, what are the karmic consequences of idle chatter? Idle chatter, repeatedly pursued, developed, and cultivated, is conducive to hell, to the animal realm, and to the sphere of afflicted spirits. And for one reborn as a human being, idle chatter at minimum conduces to others distrusting our words. Distrust prevents a person from having meaningful relationships and from succeeding career-wise as well, isn't it? Because no one trusts you to lead, or even if you do a job well, because they know that you are a gossiper, pakwa. And when people distrust you, you will always have doubts and suspicions about you, right? I mean, they will. Let's recap. Why should we reduce idle chatter? Why should we cut down unnecessary chatter in our everyday life? Right? This makes us indulge in more idle chatter, isn't it? Number 2, since our thoughts are predominantly negative, so idle chatter makes it easier to engage in falsehood, divisive speech, especially gossip, and harsh speech. Why harsh speech? When two people in a chat start to disagree, right? One thing leads to another, and harsh speech often happens. And usually when we engage in idle chatter, we lose mindfulness, which can cause us to act impulsively and say things we later regret. We can never take back what we say and may never fully rectify our mistake. So over time, this kind of speech often results in a loss of respect from other people. All right. Let me just pause here and say, usually when my clients want to divorce the partner because of adultery, it is not the act of adultery that caused the marital breakup. Most of the time, it's the first time my clients, they are prepared to forgive the spouse. It's normally what's said by the other party, like in defensiveness, right? Say, but you are not a very good wife yourself, but you are the one who caused me. And normally, in defensiveness usually comes from mind with anger. This is what the results break up relationships. And here, number 4, since we are already very critical and judgmental, right? Idle chatter makes us worse and vice versa. And idle chatter, at the very least, distracts us from this objective, isn't it? So reframing for idle chatter can mean throwing out about 80% or 90% of our everyday speech, right? So what are we going to talk about then, right? Okay. Actually, as I say, if you don't talk, your mind quietens out a lot. All right. And you find that being at home in quarantine it's quite a pleasure. A lot of contentment in the mind. Okay. Now, how to reduce idle chatter? So we have already established that idle chatter is sometimes necessary for bonding with family and friends and for other social interactions. Even during such occasions, what we can strive to do is to avoid speaking unskillfully, especially where gossip is concerned. And if possible, cut down on meaningless chatter. Number one, this is the trick. You keep your conversation short. Sometimes it's not because we want to engage in idle chatter. I can understand. Sometimes you find yourself in that situation is because the other person just ramble and we can't escape. Correct? And this happens in social functions. So how do we exit a conversation gracefully? Right? Yeah. Wrap up a conversation. Okay? You can like summarize what has been said to assure the other person that you actually been listening. Okay? And express your appreciation before leaving them. Something like, it's been a pleasure meeting you. Or you give a specific excuse. All right? Do not say things like this. People can tell you do not want to talk to them, A statement like this is a respectful way to actually end a conversation. All right? Or you use a third person. Ask the person you are talking to introduce you to someone you want to meet, or introduce him to others so you can steer the conversation away from you before you exit completely. Or have a friend come to your rescue. Establish a signal to indicate to your friend if you need help. Now, sorry, let me just switch on my video. Now, what I do is when I'm in functions like this, firms, clients meeting, things like that, what I do is I don't stand like this. You have two persons. I don't stand closed up, face to face. I stand like this. That means I talk to the person at a 45-degree angle, which means this group welcomes other people to join. This is the trick I use, and normally I don't land up with just one-to-one. Sometimes you land up one-to-one, it's very hard to extricate. When someone joins, you can easier to extricate. Okay, so this is what I do. All right, let me just minimize my gallery again. All right, next. You encourage the other person to talk. Talk about a safe topic which you are genuinely interested in. So in his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie told of a time when he met a distinguished botanist at a dinner table, and he likes plants. So he decided to talk to that person. So he spent hours listening to him talk about his job. When it was time to leave, the botanist turned to the host and paid Dale Carnegie several compliments and ended up by saying that Dale was the most interesting conversationalist. And all Dale did was just listen intently. And he listened intently because he was genuinely interested. What I mean is listen mindfully. Don't think about other things. People are not interested in you. They are interested in me. They are interested in themselves. Morning, noon, and after dinner. Correct? Everyone likes to talk about themselves. So if you want to become the most interesting conversationalist, find someone who interests you and encourage the other person to talk. Isn't it? So it's a great opportunity for you to practice mindful listening. Okay, I'm on my video. So what I do is this. Sometimes I have to go because I'm in the exco in the firm, and sometimes we have to meet our corporate clients. All right. So what I do is I will always ask my marketing guy to let me know who I'm meeting today, or who me and my partner are meeting for that day, and I will read about the person's profile. All right. Try to know a bit about the person before I'm going to meet. So during the client's meeting, I will ask questions. Is the bank? I said, how did the bank? How do you all work? things I'm interested in are asked. Okay, and I remember there was one, two particular corporate clients where I know they play golf, right? So what I do myself was I read up about golf to know what was that time. I remember was the latest was the Riders Cup. I know enough information where I can start to ask them questions because it's going to be a long dinner, you know. So I ask questions like, when do you start playing up golf? I can, you know, I understand that how is it? It's very difficult to get 18 handicap because I have read up about it already. So I'm able to ask questions, and you know, so this is something that you can think about. Yeah. All right. Next, you stop others from gossiping or you change the topic. Okay. What if, right, we are chatting in a group and someone starts gossiping about a person who's not there? The easiest solution is to leave, but sometimes situation does not allow it. So if you could say something like this, some of you seem have some issues with Lim. Why don't we approach him directly about the problem? Let's discuss how we can do it in a diplomatic way. So another way to change the topic later on when you're alone with the person who started the gossip, you can say this. You seem quite upset about Lim earlier. What are you upset about? So in this way, right, you're inviting the person to discuss his feelings rather than someone else's behavior. Correct? Sometimes you may find yourself on the other side of the situation. You get really upset with someone and you need a person to help you keep things in perspective. Tom made me so angry yesterday. I really need someone to help me deal with the problem. So I won't do something I'll regret. Can you listen and help me? All right. When you focus on your own negative feelings and reactions, you avoid talking about the person who upsets you. But care must be taken when you offload your problems in this way because it is very easy to move to divisive speech when you are angry. It helps if the other person practices right speech and is able to keep you from fault finding. All right? Because you talk about the person, then it becomes hatred, it becomes anger. Then you will forget the Dharma that is actually your own reaction that's causing you the suffering and not that person. All right? So what we have covered can be condensed into these 5 points, which actually forms the foundation from abstinence from unskillful speech. Right? I'm just going on each in turn. Yes. Number 1, constant reflection on past, present, and future actions. Idle chatter can, right, and frequently does occupy much of our mind, space, and dominates our conversations with others. So much so that we are often unaware that we're even doing it. Remember the definition of idle chatter? Huh? So the danger comes from 2 forms. Number 1, when speech harms someone in the form of falsehood, divisive speech, and harsh speech. And number 2, when your words are empty and meaningless or are used to keep attention on yourself. Okay? So that is why we have to be very mindful of our intentions. In fact, if we follow the first 3 principles of right speech, no falsehood, no divisive speech, no harsh speech, right? We will find that it is very little to really gossip about. No, it means you're not criticizing, you're not complaining about this or that. Unless one becomes mindful and knows what one is saying, one should keep quiet and know what one is thinking. And this is a very good advice from Ayya Khema. He's one of my favorite authors. He's a German nun who has passed on, and I would recommend you all, if you have time, read this book called Being Nobody and Going Nowhere. Okay. Now, remember the experiment Joseph Goldstein did. So our thoughts and speech usually consist of either meaningless chatter or judgments and criticisms. I want you all to go and practice and try. Okay. Knowing what we are thinking helps us to understand our minds better. And this is right view. Next, give ourselves moral reminders as often as we can. Will be good if you recite this quietly in your mind, before meeting up with friends, because idle chatter provides a very fertile ground for other forms of unskillful speech. Okay? In the Mahamangala Sutta, a Deva approached the Buddha and asked him to declare the things that could be considered the highest blessings. Highest blessings means things that bring the most well-being and happiness to ourselves and to others. So of the 38 things the Buddha listed, the very first thing he said was this: not associating with fools, associating with the wise, and venerating those worthy of venerations. This is the highest blessing. Which shows what? The third factor, how to practice, is to keep company with admirable friends and wise ones. During the Buddha's time, people communicate face to face. There were no newspapers, TV, radio, computers, and phones. But now, wow, we are constantly bombarded by modern communication technology, which feeds us with so much unnecessary information, including gossip, that makes our mind noisier, even more inclined towards idle chatter. In fact, brothers and sisters, mobile phones are now favored dinner companions to real people, isn't it? So we have to learn to be more discerning in what we allow ourselves to be exposed to. All right. So it's okay, you want to eat and you watch a show, or when you're eating alone, that's fine. Instead of just being on social media or Instagram, checking about other people's lives, criticizing, if you know what I mean. Okay. Now, everybody gossips. So how can it be wrong? So the next thing we need to note is we don't rationalize idle gossip. We don't rationalize idle chatter as a safe entertainment and a harmless way of passing time. Because if we even have this wrong view, we will never progress. No way your mind can even be sublime. Remember, I explained before for my meditation talk, sublime state of mind is somewhere between good and pure. And that sublime state of mind is the one that gives you a lot of tranquility, a lot of peace, a lot of happiness. It's a much quieter mind. So a lot of people will say that I think this is harmless because it's still better than for me, right? To go out and kill, to steal, to gamble and have affairs, isn't it? But as long as there's gossip, I'm reminding all that there is a very high possibility of harming others. Meaningless chatter, although just chatter, meaningless, although less harmful than gossip, is still unskillful and a burden to our practice. All right, acknowledge it. Accept that you're doing something unskillful. Rationalizing doesn't make it right. Right? So let's say you want to talk about something weather. Good weather today, right? But most people don't say, "How come so hot today? Singapore are terrible. No, this weather is terrible." If you try to practice, you know that there's a lot of complaints. Do more good to dilute the effects of unskillful speech. So are everybody familiar with the 10 meritorious deeds? Right? So what are you all doing now? Volunteers, all right? Organizing this talk, practice giving already. Right now, sitting there, learning the Dharma, you already practice morality. Just now we meditated, already mental cultivation. All right, and if you later on we do some puja, pay respect to the Buddha. Then you practice reverence. I understand. There was no puja earlier, isn't it? Okay, but if there's puja, there's reverence. All right, for those who help in the group, you have services. Later on, we will share merits. You will also rejoice in other people's learnings. You are listening to the Dharma and you're straightening your view. So can you imagine just one talk that you attend? Got good merits or not? You are building the causes and conditions for a sublime state of mind, for peace and happiness, for the higher happiness. Okay. Now the best way the best antidote to gossip is to do metta bhavana. All right, that's the best antidote. So you cultivate gratitude for those around us, helps us to see the strength in other people, and reduces our tendency to find fault with others. We should make it a habit to talk about other people's good qualities and their similarities with us to promote empathy. But very important for couples who are married, right, to really, really cultivate this gratitude. All right. Now, even taking into account the allowance made for non-monastics to engage in idle chatter in order to foster closer bonds with our loved ones, for social interactions, for networking purposes, there is still a lot of room for restraint. All you have to do is to hold back. Don't talk. If talking doesn't improve your life in a skillful way, watch your mind instead. You want to bond with someone close to you, ask questions, show interest, validate another person's feelings, especially for women. When they talk to you and complain about a lot of things, guys, note when your wives or your girlfriends complain or talk about their feelings, even though it's not complaining, even talking about how they feel about this or that by themselves, don't give unsolicited advice. Just practice mindful listening. They will be so happy. They will say that, that's important to them. That's why women, when they go out in a group, it's not because of the lunch, no, it's the companionship. It's the sharing. Women do share. Okay, it's about the validation of feelings. Okay. All right. Note again, if we cannot avoid gossip from others, at the very least, we should not participate in the gossip session or encourage it. Discourage it instead with right speech. Right? Right speech is another talk, actually. Now, so then what is there to talk about? There is a lot to talk about where the Dharma is concerned. You can never run away. You can never run out of things to say. And what's last thing to note? When we practice right speech, we should learn to be tolerant and forgiving of those who do not know how to practice right speech. Even if they do not know how to practice right speech, even if they do know, but failed to do so, please do not judge. Because right speech is a skill that needs a lot of time, patience, and practice before you can get it right. Longpo Dun Atulo would speak only of things that served a purpose. He never created any trouble for himself or for others through his words. Even when people tried to provoke him into criticizing others, he never did. So other people came to him and complained that they cannot respect preachers and monks who denounced society, attacked and criticized others. And this is what Longpo would respond. Dropping.
That's the level of their knowledge and understanding. They say what comes easily in line with the level of their knowledge. Nobody's paying you to respect them. If you don't want to respect them, then don't respect them. They probably don't mind.
Okay. So what Longpo is saying is, please don't be a kaypoh lah. When you do that, you're actually doing what you accuse other people of doing, isn't it? So he's saying, just concentrate on your own practice. Don't judge other people. Robin?
Haven't abandoned idle chatter. He abstains from idle chatter. He speaks at a proper time, speaks truth, speaks what is beneficial, speaks on the Dharma and the discipline. At a proper time, he speaks such words as are worth recording, reasonable, succinct, and beneficial.
Succinct here means clear and accurate, to the point. Nothing is more valuable than a controlled and skillfully directed mind. Okay, so right speech cultivates abstinence from unwholesome mental states, right? And gives expression to beautiful expressions, to beautiful motivations, correct? Here's the do good part. Got it? So this is the end of my sharing, because most mind, right, can concentrate. Most mind can concentration is usually not more than 45 minutes, right? So I try to help your absorption by not only making the speech short and condensed, taking extracts of the sutta, but also give you colorful slides. so that you'll be able to remember what is being shared. So I'm open to questions. Even those on Facebook, if you just key in your questions. No questions. Okay, I'm so clear. No questions. Okay.
Because too fast.
Huh?
You talk too fast, so you know.
I was too
Cannot.
fast, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry. Do you have anything you want to clarify? Anything to clarify? Anything that I was too fast and you're not clear and you want to check?
The whole thing.
The whole thing. Okay, in conclusion, just remember this line. If you cannot improve the silence, don't talk. Can? Right? So in the morning, I wake up in the morning, I woke up, I said, good morning, and say, good morning, everyone, with a smile. Right? Okay? And when I prepared a meal, when it's nice, I do say, this is very good. Because for the person who cooks the meal for you, appreciates it. Because if you keep training this way, your mind's not negative. Why like that? Why like that? Just, right? And if you've been practicing for a while, meditating for a while, you realize there's really less mental chatter, less idle chatter. So let's say, for example, you're preparing food and you're chatting away, or you are walking across the road and chatting away, you may fall into a dream. Because when you're chatting and doing something else at the same time, you're not really practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness practice, you do one thing at a time. Correct? Right. So let's say, for example, if you're working and you are thinking and you're distracted your mind, you're thinking about your thoughts run to the future or the past, and you worry about the next task, then what happens is that you probably make a careless mistake when you're replying to an email. So mindfulness practice is one thing at a time. If you're just one thing at a time. When you are at home, watering your plants, just water your plants. Keep your mind at present moment. Concentrate what you're doing. But the moment your mind starts to run, and you don't unplug your mind from the mental space of society, you'll be like, yeah, I need to do something, I need to do something. The craving start arises. Remember, we're not arahants, huh? There will be this greed, hatred, and delusion, the moha, dosa, and dosa, moha, loba. Okay, you will have it. And the mind will start to crave. I need to go out. I'm restless, really. Yeah? I need to call this person to chat because I'm bored to tears. I need to talk. All right, then you know you need to meditate more. Okay, mind has less contentment. So you watch your mental chatter. Very, very important. That's why in the Noble Eightfold Path, the Buddha has this thing called right speech. I haven't gone into right speech yet. Usually my right speech series is about 10 lessons. All right. So I just take idle chatter because idle chatter, actually most people indulge in it. But even if you talk about false speech divisive, there's a lot to talk about. Okay. Now let me ask you this then. Is white lie okay? A white lie okay? To make someone feel good. It's still a lie. White lies are not okay. Because your mind is no longer straight. Right? So if someone cooks for you and it's not delicious, if you ask, hey, is it good? Oh, it's very, very good. It's very, very good. All right. You know that become your mental tendency, right? You no longer, you find it's okay not to tell the truth. But it's different how to tell the truth. So if the food is not delicious, I will find something nice to say about the food, which I like. For example, I like this dish. This dish is very nice. I don't have to talk about the other two dishes, isn't it? I don't have to pretend that they are nice when they're not. Right? Or if someone say, hey, do I look fat? Do I look fat? Then my brain say, it's not important how you look, how I think you look. I think it's important how you feel you look. That's how I usually answer. Okay. Yeah. Or Someone has given a talk, I ask for feedback. How did I do in that talk? If I feel that it's not so good, I will say that I know you have tried your best. How do you feel how do you feel? All right, you have performed. Then she will share. And then I say, okay, maybe this is how you can improve. But let me tell you what you have done right. Okay, so I always speak kindly. Okay, and that is mindfulness a practice, isn't it? So if you're very mindful in what you say, even between husband and wife, you have less quarrels, you know that? Quarrels happen what? He shouldn't say this, I shouldn't say this. She, why like that, nagging so much and all that kind of things. Remember, quarrels need two hands to clap. One person cannot quarrel. So if you have a tiff with your spouse, both are responsible. And if you're not mindful, and someone, your person closest to you, you're more yourself, isn't it? You're talking to your colleague or your boss, you're more mindful. But when you're talking to your person closest to you in your life, normally you throw mindfulness out the window. Hey, why you like that? Hey, why so lazy today? You shouldn't do this. Why you? So always start with I, not you. Okay? How? Like, for example, you find that your partner, your spouse is just whole day on the playing computer games, for example. And then you say, hey, you shouldn't watch computer games, because that is criticism and harsh speech, isn't it? Right? And then worst thing you think, you say it very nicely, but your eyes are that, hey, you shouldn't play computer games, Oh, and harsh speech, you think it's just scolding? No, expression as well. That's harsh speech under definition given in the suttas. So you should say this like, I do worry for you. I do, start with I do worry for you. Would you want to take a rest and eat? I really do not want you to be addicted because I worry. And that's the truth. Because the moment you say you, defensiveness comes, right? Isn't that practice mindfulness? I think it's very, very important. Okay. So any questions?
There's one question on the chat. So Elvin asked, what drives a fault finding mind?
What
drives a fault finding mind?
Inherent, as long as you're not arhan, you will have greed, hatred, and delusion. As long as you have the ego, the atta, right? You mundane, that is the fault finding. So as you practice, right, your mind gets purer and purer, easier and easier to get your enlightenment. 4 stages, sotapan, all right. What is the four stages of enlightenment? Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagami, Arahant. Okay, just to practice. That's why you need to meditate. When you're sitting down to meditate just now, you're learning not to think when you don't want to think, isn't it? Your mind, you notice how noisy it is? When you're practicing meditation, do you realize that thoughts keep coming? All right, your thoughts keep coming. This is the mind. Face it, as long as you are not an Arahant. Arahant is different. They take refuge in the minus 24/7. Most people, all right, in fact, if you're not an Arahant, it's to extend only. You live life in accordance with the impact the thoughts have in your mind. And that greed, hatred, delusion is all in all us. There will be fault finding. Okay? As you practice more and more, you realize it's very hard to get angry. You realize it's very difficult to be like jealous or because your mind is more sublime. Remember, the sublime state of mind is metta, isn't it? Non-judgment, your mind, non-judgmental. Number 2 is compassion. Compassion means you have the skill to not do unto others what others won't do unto you. You're able to exercise a restraint very well. You don't rationalize so much. People love to rationalize their wrongdoings. The third is you have appreciative joy. Correct? You're very joyful when other people do well. So you have a lot of things to be happy about. Instead of like swan when someone do better, or this person is more handsome or whatever not. So you don't have that. And you have equanimity. It's called upekkha. The equanimous mind, not easily shaken. So if you can't even restrain from idle chatter, right? You think it's easy to reach the sublime state of mind? Yeah, that's why it's important that we practice mental cultivation on a daily basis. Set aside time for meditation. All right, just now you all did 20 minutes. I used to say 10 minutes to my class. I say cannot because it's very hard. Very hard for a 10-minute meditation to really quieten down. So I say minimum 20 minutes. And you all did 19 minutes or thereabouts. 19 minutes, 20 seconds. Can, right? It's not that long, isn't it? Yeah. Any other questions? Is it all right to find out info about others? We want to listen to talk or we thought. Oh, this is okay. What's your intention? Your intention is to find out about the other speaker, whether the speaker is good, whether it's what. All right. And we are, yeah, this is okay. Your intention is wholesome, is to learn the Dharma. You want to find out about the speaker. It's not idle chatter. Idle chatter is when you ask about this speaker. Then you say, okay, this speaker is a teacher here. He teaches this and all that. And then you go and say, how to say? So married or single, not important. Or want to find out more about the speaker's personal lives. I don't see how that there. Then that kind will encourage idle chatter and probably will have. It can lead to divisive speech. Yeah. So this kind of questions is not really a problem. In fact, I encourage you all to join classes. All right. Follow teachers, be that Sangha or lay teachers. It's good to attend at least one to find out whether you are comfortable with the teaching style. Okay, it's what benefits you. But don't go in mind, why like that? You like that? Why you like that? Then what's the point of going for Dharma talk and then you land up getting even more upset because you feel that you are you're not up to standard. Hold yourself back. Always exercise restraint. Okay. So far only 2 questions. So I take it I'm very clear So that's why no questions. I may sound like a broken tape recorder, but important to please meditate. Never forget 20 minutes first thing in the morning. If you prefer 20 minutes at night, do it. Just 20 minutes, can? Then the progress really comes. Or else you can be going for talks after talks, for years. And then you still get angry easily, still get jealous, still get upset, still reactive. Don't want to get stressed, still get stressed. Don't want to get angry, still get angry. And say things you regret. And still engaging in idle chatter. Right? So if you have been practicing and abstaining from idle chatter, all right, for a while, and you will do so, you'll find that staying at home and not go out, it's really no big deal. Your own mind can be your own heaven or your own hell, actually. Okay. Yes. Any other questions? I know it's until 3:30, but really on an afternoon, a long talk, you may not absorb very much. What are the safe topics to talk about with colleagues and other non-Buddhists without engaging in, without engaging in this? Oh, okay. I don't really go out and socialize a lot, but I try to think, especially during COVID times. Let me think about colleagues and all that. Sometimes I see my partners in the firm. I just said, everything okay? And they say, oh, yeah, it's fine. I say, all right, that's it. I go off. Shows that you care. Or sometimes when a partner comes to look for me, hey, sit probably with a coffee and say, hey, you know this and that. I just ask questions. I have my the closest partner I work with is my number 2 in the firm. I mean, I hate the department. He always comes to my office to talk about things. Yeah, and I always ask, and work-wise, and is any problems? Do you need my advice or help? And sometimes he talks about his family, and he's, I got to bring my children here. Very tired. I'll just say, rest more. Okay, yeah, you will know what to say when you're mindful. All right, and right speech. You talk at proper times, right? Right speech. The opposite. You talk with kindness, isn't it? You speak the truth, right? You speak what's beneficial, right? I'm doing opposites, right? If you're very mindful of all these factors, you talk at proper time also. So the thing is, if you're very mindful of all these factors, it's very natural. That's why Ajahn Suchito always advocates, pause before you speak. Don't reply so fast. You don't have to. So I ask, think for a while, pause, and then speak. Most people, they're very fast, isn't it? Yeah. For your own practice, pause for 10 seconds. He says 10 seconds. Yeah. Initially, maybe you practice 10 and it gets easier and you become 5. But always have a pause. You notice how people quarrel, isn't it? Is there any pausing? Don't have, right? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Safe topics. Remember what dear Ganiki say, ask questions. When people call you, right? They call you to interested to hear you speak or they want to speak themselves. Obviously, they call you because they want to tell you something or because they want to talk. They're not interested in what you say. So practice mindful listening. And it's easier to have Kayana Mitas, Dharma friends. Easier, isn't it? Both can practice together. So if let's say, for example, like your exco meeting, all right, and talk about, maybe if you talk about certain idle chatter, it's easy to say, hey, that's idle chatter. Hey, right speech. Let's come back to the task at hand. So hang around with Kalyana Mitas. That's one of the factors I've listed in the slide just now. Hang around with Dharma friends, who's much easier. Then you can talk about the Dharma, talk about the practice, talk about letting go. Why is it so hard to let go? Talk about how to practice better, or just companionship without really having to talk very much, actually. Yeah. So you go for retreats. 8 precept also very simple. Actually, I like retreats. The noble silence very important. Very, very important. Handphones must be off at all times. So it just because you don't talk, but you're on the phone, WhatsApping away and watch it. Like for example, minds can be very busy during elections, right? A lot idle chatter happens during elections. Talking about this person, that person, that person. And really, honestly, during the elections time, a lot on my WhatsApp in groups, right, actually went out of control. A lot of chats. It's sometimes very difficult for me to exit the chats because these groups were formed for other purposes, like for example, organizations or boards, things like that. And then during elections, people start to share. And don't bother. All I care about is which candidate I'm voting for, isn't it? Why do I care for every candidate? It's outside my control. I only care about the candidate I'm voting for. I read about that candidate. I read about look at his agenda, his speeches, and then I compare the two and I vote. Right? I don't have to spend time mulling over the papers or mulling over WhatsApp chats about people's views about this or that. It just makes your mind more noisy. Okay, so idle chatter usually happens a lot during elections because to me it's meaningless, it's worthless in a sense. How does it help you in your practice? Okay, so this is something to be mindful of. Okay, so so I think this will end the session. I'm not sure when I'll see you guys again, but it's lovely to see you all and those on Facebook to tune in to hear the Dharma on a Saturday afternoon. So are we ready therefore to share merits? Okay, now can we all like eyes closed, hands in Anjali position? Okay, and I would like you all to just Namo Tassa 3 times, okay? Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Sama Sambuddhassa. Mind quiet. Mind a present moment. By the grace of whatever merits that I've acquired, may I never associate with the foolish, but only the wise up to the time I attain final happiness. And by the grace of whatever merits that I have acquired, may these be helpful to eradicate the defilements and overcome all suffering. May all the merits I have accumulated today be shared with my loved ones and my departed relatives. May they be well and happy, and may they continue in the path towards the eradication of suffering. By the power of Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, may all the deities protect me. Sabe Buddhanu Dhammanu Kasanganu Bhavina Sada Suti Bhavantute. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.